Hello and welcome to my craft room. I'm doing some more work today on my still life, a project inspired by Create and Craft with Christine. I will link to Christine in the description box below. If you haven't already discovered Christine, well worth checking out her channel. It's just absolutely full of inspiration for textile art and slow stitching. And just recently, or relatively recently, Christine sent me a little package of fabrics very similar to what she used to create a vase of flowers, a still life, for one of the Roxy prompts. I just love how it just goes all around. We're at different sides of the world and everything, and it just comes around and around, and we all inspire each other. I just love that. Anyway, so Christine sent me this package of little blue and white snippets of blue and white fabric, already backed with something called steamer seam light, which you can use to apply fabrics to a background, and also a lovely big piece of a floral fabric. So this is the third video in this little series. Last time I'd started applying my cut out flowers to the background using needle turn applique, which is something I hadn't done before. I've done quite a bit more of it now, and I've tried a couple of other methods for applying the pieces of fabric. In hindsight, I did bite off quite a lot, maybe more than I can chew, I don't know. But you know, there are other ways I could have done it. I could have applied some kind of iron-on interface into the back and then just blanket stitched or use some other kind of stitch to apply the pieces to the background. But I really wanted to try this needle turn applique, partly because you see a lot of it in the kind of vintage linens that Christine works with a lot, and so it kind of all fit together for me. But I've tried a couple of other methods as well, and I just thought I'd come back and show you a little bit of what I'm doing, and then I'm ready to start my thread painting, which is what most of the video is going to be today. So let me take you to the desk and show you what I've been up to. Here we go. I had started, this was my very first bit, a bit rough there. I did get better as I went along, and I do like the look of this needle turn applique, even though mine is, you know, it's not the best. I clearly need a lot of practice, and this fabric wasn't ideal. It frays easily at the edges, and it doesn't like bending kind of against the grain. It doesn't like folding. I think if I was doing it with a plain kind of cotton print or something, it would be a lot easier, but hey ho. But I do love that. I do love the way it looks on the fabric, and I'm really looking forward to thread painting. So I've done all of this bit, I've done this bit, and I've done quite a bit of this. I've done that large flower there, that one, and then I've tried a couple of other methods with these bits. Let me just stick my needle in there so I don't lose it. So with this one, what I tried doing was I just did a back stitch around. You can see a little bit of my back stitch in there actually. And after I'd done the back stitch, I then chain stitched around the outline to start to kind of disguise the sort of rough edge where I'd cut back. So once I'd done the back stitching, I cut back as close as I could to the stitching, but you know, you can still see where the fabric's cut, which of course you don't with the needle turn effect. Like here is my needle turned bit. So then so I did the back stitch, whipped the back stitch, decided you could still see raw edges, and then I went around with a chain stitch like you can see here. Then I decided to whip the whole thing, chain stitch and back stitch together, just whipped a thread around it. I've shown the whipping the stitches before, where you just wrap a thread, you just put your needle under the stitches you've already made, not into the fabric, and you just keep going the same direction, and just kind of wrap that thread around those previous stitches to kind of thicken up the line. I quite like the look of that. I don't like it as much as the needle turn applique though. There's another bit where I've done that. It's okay, but I don't like it as much. Here I've started to do that, and then I decided I'd try doing a satin stitch over the top of that, so where I've got the bulk of the whipped chain stitch, it kind of pads out the satin stitch. So that's what I'm doing a little bit of now. So I thought I'll come back and do a little bit of that with you now, and then I'll just finish the needle turn applique parts. I've still got this area to do and this one, and then I will be back to do the needle turn applique. So all I've done here is where I've got this line of back stitch, then a chain stitch, and then I've whipped it. It's all still quite messy. You can still see fabric edges and things. So by doing this, I'm kind of tidying it up, and I do quite like the look of it. It's really not the best needlework for sure. Let me zoom in a bit so you can see quite how dreadful it is. But what I'm hoping with this and the needle turn applique, but you know, it's not perfect. I'm learning, but I'm just hoping that the overall effect, time I've done the thread painting and everything, the overall effect will kind of distract from the shoddy workmanship. So yeah, with this bit, I'm now going into the area where the vase was. Now the vase pieces, these cut pieces that had the steamer seam light on the back, I find them quite, it is, you can stitch through it, but you don't want to be trying to do any kind of fine embroidery on it. It's really, it does make the needle a little bit sticky, and it's a bit harder work to get through, so I don't particularly enjoy stitching on it. So what I'm doing now I'm coming into this area, is I'm not going to go through to the back. Like there you can see I've gone through to the back, show my messy backside off. Now I'm just going to try going through just that kind of surface layer and around the stitches that are there already, rather than stitching through the whole thing, because stitching through the whole thing and doing a satin stitch through this steamer seam area as well would just be too much like hard work. So yeah, I can just work my satin stitch now around that whipped chain stitch line, and I'm still getting little bits of the fabric underneath peeking through. I can't seem to completely eradicate that. As I say, what I could have done is apply some iron-on interfacing of some kind to the back of the fabric, the flower fabric, before I cut it, and that would have stopped these fraying edges a bit, and then I just could have done any kind of outline stitch I fancied, really, to attach them to the fabric. But overall I prefer the look of the, I'm going back over myself here trying to cover these gaps. Overall I think I prefer the look of the needle turn applique. It's very fiddly with this fabric and these kind of quite irregular outlines. There's a lot of shapes to follow. I'm not gonna show the needle turn applique now, because I did that in the last video. So yes, it is fiddly, but I do like the look of it. I like the way it sort of makes it look, I don't know, the edges are standing up a little bit from the background. And even on this area here where it's the first bit I did, thank you for the suggestions. A couple of people left helpful comments, little ideas like try using a whip stitch or a hem stitch rather than the ladder stitch that I was doing. And what I'm finding is a combination. In some areas it's easier to do that, and in other areas I find the ladder stitch easier and gives a better sort of finish. It just depends. So what I'm doing now is using a combination when I'm doing the needle turn applique. This is not a quick process. If I try and do it too quickly it looks even more shoddy, so I'm trying to make a nice job of this. That bit will be out the way because that will be needle turned. So yeah, it's just one of those things that's going to take some practice. But like I said last time, if something's worth doing, it's worth practicing, getting it right. So yeah, I'm just sitting here doing this. I'm watching Dottie B Vintage. She's doing a little, like a collaboration with Christine of Create and Craft with Christine and Christy of So Bits Christy, where they're making whimsical wearables. I love what she's been doing. She's been combining all those kind of little things, little treasures that you collect up. You know, I've got drawers full of them. Little bits and pieces of little trinkets and doodads that you kind of collect up one way and another, especially when you're into crafting. And she's combining them with little bits of ribbons and trims and lace and things, and creating these whimsical necklaces. It looks so cute. So I'm sitting here watching her do that while I do this. Again, it's just one of the ways that we all kind of inspire each other. I just love it. So Dotty B Vintage is Sally, and Christy of So Bits Christy are going to be meeting up because Christy's coming to the UK. I think she's probably here right now as I'm recording this, actually, so they'll be meeting up in person. It's very exciting. And funny enough, just this morning I was very excited to get an email from Annette in Sweden, someone who I've swapped on a previous Great Big Little Stitchery swap. I've swapped with Annette, and she's very keen to come over to the UK in August so that she can join us for the Bazaar summer garden party weekend. And we've got Marion and I are setting up a slow stitching stall there. Not stall really, a corner, slow stitching corner I've been calling it, where people can just sit with us and do a little bit of slow stitching. And we're going to create a community quilt which we'll finish off, and then it will be auctioned for charity when it's ready. Very excited about that. Very excited to go to that amazing event again. It was the most incredible experience last year. Even more so now that I'll be able to sit hopefully in the sunshine and enjoy some chilled out slow stitching with my arty farty friends. Marion, who I met up with for the first time last year, is helping me to organise the little slow stitching corner, and Maggie Morris and her friend, I think she's called Sue, are coming as well, and Lucy I'm very excited to meet in person. I met Maggie when I was down in Cornwall last year. Lucy I've not met up with in person. She's going to be staying very near to where I am, so that's going to be fun. And then last week I heard that Granny Sue and her friend are coming, so that's just, yeah, it's going to be. And who else? Diane let me know that she's coming. Very exciting. I'll leave a link to the video where I explain about the whole Bazaar thing and what you need to if you want to join us, and also if you like to contribute towards the community quilt but you're not able to join us in person, you can actually make a little snippet or patch or motif and send it to me, and I will add it to the quilt for you. So all the details about that are in that video. I'll link to that as well. It's going to be a very much a highlight of my year, that is. Okay, so I'm going to carry on stitching around these, get this these last bits done. I'm more than halfway through now, and I'm getting a bit faster on the needle turn applique now. This is actually taking me longer to do than the needle turn applique would have, but I do quite like it's quite nice to have them not all the same. I'm going to carry on doing that, and I'll be when I come back in a sec, I will be ready to start the thread painting, which is going to be my favourite part. Right, I've had another lovely couple of quiet hours watching Dotty B. Got all the pieces appliqued one way or another to my base, to my background, and now I can start doing the thread painting, which is the bit I've been really, really looking forward to. I think I might start with this bit here. I don't know why, I just feel drawn to it. So I've pulled out a selection of stranded cottons, kind of reflecting because I'm going to follow what's in the print, but this is quite a greenish yellow. I didn't have a lot of range of colours in those, and I thought, well, it's okay, I'll make it a warmer a warmer kind of yellow, but the same difference in tones. So I've got that sort of lightest, mid, darkest, and I think those will work. I have got a little bit of white as well. I've got plenty more white elsewhere. I've got a couple of shades of grey and the beigey colour, which are in the leaves and here. Yep. And also I think fit quite nicely with a sort of warm grey in this stripe too. And then I've got, so for these, 3 shades of pink here for this one. And then this darker colour right in the middle, and the black that's there as well. I've got this one. This one hasn't got such light areas, so I'll probably use this. Maybe this, and this, or this. The same goldeny yellows in the centre and the black and grey there. We'll follow what's here really. I think for a lot of the thread painting, I'm just going to use a single strand of the stranded cotton actually. But I might vary that up just to give a difference in texture. But yeah, so I think those colours are enough. I don't want to boggle myself with too much choice. I feel like this is a good place to start. So I'm going to start off with the centre and do some little French knots first, I think. Let's have some of this dark grey. So some dark grey and some black French knots. Somebody is asking, I think it's Viviana, asked it, if I wouldn't find it easier to use a frame. Trouble is, this is so bulky now. I don't think it would go into a frame very well. And I've also been finding while I'm doing this needle turn applique, I've needed to get my hand right round and tuck the edges under and hold them with my left hand, and I think that would have been more difficult on a frame somehow. So yeah, it's worked fine without the frame. So for the French knots, I will use 2 strands. I used the darkest grey there, and I should have gone with the middling grey, I think. Never mind. I don't think it's going to matter too much. I'm going to put this where the black is. I'm going to wind the thread round twice before putting it back in, see if that makes my French knot chunky enough. I might want to wind it round more times and get a chunkier, or I could just use more strands of the thread. I think that's about right. So yeah, just twice each time. And I don't need to completely cover, I'm not aiming to completely cover the flower with the thread. So there, to cover that that dark area there, that's enough for that bit. I just want to give it a little bit of texture and things, not completely cover it. So now I'm going to leap right across the back. I'm not fastening off or anything, I'm leaping right across the back here because I'm lazy. But it's not going to matter. What the back looks like isn't going to matter, so whoops. Turn to this one. I think I'll have enough on this one length of thread to put a little bit in each flower actually. There we go. I've just got a little cluster of French knots in the centre of each flower, and I'm going to fasten off at the back. I think I might do some pistol stitches now in the centre. So this is still not kind of thread painting proper yet, but maybe some of this golden one. Give the effect of kind of stamens in the centre. So I'm still going to go with 2 strands at this point. I think maybe just where I can see the lighter parts of these centres, that's where I'm just going to put 2 or 3 pistol stitches in. So I'm just going to come up at the centre there and make it almost like a French knot. So I'll do 2, maybe I'll do 3 turns this time. But then I'm not going down at the same point, I'm going a little way out to the edge of where that yellow area is, so that the little knot forms at the end of it, at the end of the straight stitch, like that. Don't know how well you're able to see that. So come up there at the middle, wind it round 3 times, put the needle back down on the outer edge of that yellow area, ouch, and then complete the knot. It's really hard doing this at arm's length. I know I'm always saying that. So it just look kind of like stamens, and then I can dot a few just French knots about as well, as if, you know, you're looking at some of them from the top. So some make some longer, some shorter, and some will be just knots. That one's a bit messy, never mind. It's nature. Nature's messy. So just a few, just like that, just to give an idea of there being stamens there. I'm going to do that to each of the centres now, and then I'll be ready to start my kind of thread painting proper. Okay, I've just done a stupid and recorded a whole bit without pressing record. So hang on, where did I get to? I think I'd started doing the French knots and then pistol stitches with you. I've added as much as I want to the centres now, and I've taken my lightest shade of pink, this one, and I've just started doing some straight lines, working out not in the direction of the grain of the fabric, but in the direction that the petals are going in. And I've just done a few kind of random stitches, some long, some short, and because that will help them to blend together with the other shades of pink that I'm going to be using. I might want to go in and add more pale pink in a minute. I can always do that, but I'm not aiming to cover the whole flower. I'm just adding some texture, really, and picking up on what's already there. So I want the fabric to show through as well. I'm not trying. My aim isn't to cover this entire thing with stitching. So now, this is the point where I glanced to make sure I was recording and realised I wasn't. Now I'm going to go on to the middle shade of pink, this one, and start filling in a few more stitches where you can see the mid-tones there in the fabric. And what I did was, with the pink, with the pale pink, I took the stitches just slightly into where the mid-pink is in the background print, and I'll do the same with the mid pink now. I'll just let it wander slightly over into the lighter pink bit to blend these together, and these stitches are all different lengths, so they should blend together nicely, hopefully. It's using one strand of my stranded cotton for this. So I don't want it too chunky, I want it to be quite subtle, but it might be that in some areas I do decide to use 2 strands. So I'm just looking at where those darker areas are in the print. I'm remembering about the direction that each petal is going in, so I'm sort of fanning my stitches out from the centre, and I'm not carrying my thread all the way across at the back. So I came up at the left, I came up on the left there, went down on the right, and now I'm coming up on the right again, rather than carrying my thread all the way across the back, because it's just wasteful on the thread. Where I've got a bit, where my edge is a bit messy, I'm taking the opportunity to take the thread out right to the edge and help to hold those edges down, help to tidy them up a bit. think I was just one of the things I was just wittering away about is how this is relaxing in the same way that a colouring book is relaxing, because you haven't really got to think about it. You're just filling in what's already there. I've already picked out all my colours, so I haven't got to think about that. I'm going to take this one up to the edge again and help to hold that slightly messy edge there down. Again, I'm making some of the stitches long and some short, and taking the mid-tone thread partly into the lighter area to help to blend it all together. I feel like I will want to do more to the centre, but I'm not sure what yet. Maybe just some little seed stitches in one of the yellow colours perhaps. So now I'm going to start letting the mid-tone pink wander into the territory of the darkest one there, just so when I come to add the dark one they'll start to blend together nicely, so just in the same way. It's very relaxing. I think it's because I haven't got to think too hard, but I've got to think enough for it to be absorbing, so it keeps my mind busy in a good way. And I think what I had just done before I realised I wasn't filming is I had done a little experiment with the end of my pale pink thread, and where you can see those kind of like a line going around the petal there in the design, I just did a one strand back stitch and then whipped it to kind of pick up that line, give a sort of sketchy looking line really, and I quite like that, so I'm going to continue that idea around the rest of this one, and wherever I see those kind of lines there's another one there. Just using different lengths of stitches and carrying them over and slightly into the colour that I'm going to end up blending with, just to help that blend. Christine is so good at doing this. If you want to see someone doing it properly, thoroughly recommend watching her. One that comes to mind is a bird that she did. It did occur to me that I could do a little bit of that. I think it's called trapunto quilting, where you apply fabric and then you cut a slit in the back, just in the backing fabric, and add a little bit of filling there, and then when you stitch through you can get texture. So I could do that and then stitch between the petals. That could look really good as well. I might experiment with that a little bit. I think that's what it's called. If anyone watching this knows what I'm talking about and can confirm or put me right, please feel free. Yeah, I definitely think I want a bit of texture in the centre there in the form of perhaps some seed stitches. Yeah, I'm going to do a little bit of the dark now to see how that looks. It might be that this would be a good colour to use to do some seed stitching on the centre. Just wondering whether a bit of green there, I hadn't pulled out any green, but I'm just wondering now if a bit of green there would be good. Little green seed stitches. Just carrying my darker thread into the where it blends with the mid-tone and then the light tone, and hopefully I'll get the effect of them all blending together. Don't particularly want to be introducing any black on that part of the petal, so I'm just stitching over that with the this darkest tone. I feel like what I'm doing is more thread sketching than thread painting. But I like the effects I'm getting, so I'm going to carry just a little odd few touches of this darker tone up to the rest of the petals, but not too much, because that's where the light's catching it. Okay, so obviously it needs some more pink in there, and I'm going to just try some seed stitching. So let's get. I'm going to pick out some green and do that with, I think, a little pop of green. This is obviously brighter than the colour that's there, but I quite like that. You'll still see the fabric underneath, so they'll kind of mix together in your mind. Maybe I could try the trapunto or whatever it's called, quilting, just on these ones in the front that would be nearest to you. Well, I guess I could try it, and then if I don't like it, just pick it out. At the moment, you see they're lying nice and flat. I haven't got the fabric all wrinkled or anything. I was quite pleased about that. It might be that by doing that, filling it from the back like that, it would cause everything to kind of distort, so I might not like it. But if I put it in and I don't like it, I could just take it out and stitch it up at the back again, and nobody but me would be any the wiser. I say nobody but me and you. You won't tell anyone, will you? Okay, let's try just a few seed stitches. Oh. I always struggle with the randomness of seed stitches. I like the randomness of them, but I find it difficult to do, that's what I'm saying. I probably usually end up doing what I've done now and putting too many in, actually. Now, what do I think about that green? Is it right or not? Maybe it's a bit too bright, actually. I'm going to hunt again for another shade of green. I just think that's too green. I thought I'd like it, but I don't. Oh, I can't find the colour I want. I think if anything it's going to have to be one of the colours that's already there, either the yellow or the, maybe it's that darker shade, or some of the black, or that dark red. Something else. I want it to be something that I like the texture of it, but that's just the wrong colour, I think. Okay, I'm going to come back to that when I've had a bit more of a, sometimes you just need to walk away and let it sit for a bit and look at it again later with fresh eyes, don't you? Go back to one strand again now and just put a bit more of the lighter pink in. Whoops, I've got that in a tangle now. How'd that happen? It might even be that a bit of something light in the centre would be good. Yeah, I can also slightly change with my thread painting. I can slightly change the colours that I've got here. Oh, the edges coming up on that one. So I can sort that out with the thread painting as well. Yeah, if I decide I want it to be dark here where this would be in shadow, because these are underneath, these are over the top of it, I can actually put darker in here, which might help to make everything seem more kind of three-dimensional. So yeah, a bit like with a, same as with a colouring book really, you can, the outline's there, but you can do your own thing with it. I think for this last little curved line around here, I'm going to do another line of backstitch and whip it to get that sort of more defined line, because I like the look of that. So just doing a straightforward backstitch first, quite small stitches to go around this curve. I'll go back along the line I've stitched, putting my needle underneath each of the stitches. I go from right to left every time, but it don't really matter which way you go as long as you do it the same every time. So I'm not going into the fabric, I'm just going under the stitch. It's kind of wrapping the line of stitching with another thickness of thread, so it just sort of thickens up the line and straightens it out, kind of thing. Sometimes it's easier to do it with the wrong end of the needle, the eye end of the needle, so it doesn't catch the fabric. Okay, so that's just that bit where there was the sketchy looking line. Just think it's a nice little detail, bit of a different little texture. And I could do the same down here while I've got this thread left in my needle. I might as well do this little line down here as well. Could definitely run lines of whipped back stitch like this, or outline stitch or whatever, around some of the outlines of the flowers and the individual petals, but I'm not 100% sure I'm going to want to do that, so I'm going to leave it until I've done a bit more of the thread painting and see what I think. You can see it's not covered in stitching, there's lots of the fabric underneath showing. It's just a few stitches really, but it gives the impression of it being kind of embroidered. Definitely not liking that brighter green seed stitch in there, that's got to change. I'm not going to bother taking it out, it'll just get covered by the whatever colour I choose instead. I need to find another colour. I'm thinking a darker colour actually, maybe even one of the greys that I picked out would be better choice than that bright green. Hey ho, sometimes you just got to try it. I might decide on these sort of in between bits, like here in between these flowers, I might cover them with darker colour seed stitching as well, just to make them sort of stand out. Maybe a very dark green would be a good idea for that, to introduce that little bit of green that I'm sort of craving now. Now I've got it in my head. Well, I think I've kept you for long enough today. I'm going to carry on working on this and I'll come back next time and show you how I'm getting on. Very pleased with how that's looking so far, and I do think it's worth the effort of the needle tone applique. I do love how that stands out against the background. I think I will be able to do more further sort of tidying of these edges as I go around and stitch into this yellow flower behind as well. Really thoroughly enjoying that. I feel like it is the same feeling as colouring in. Definitely need to decide about something for that centre though, because now I'm looking at it on the camera screen as well. It needs something just a bit, I think, darker in that centre to take it in. I might come back one more time and do a bit more thread painting with you, or I might just get carried away and come back next time and all the thread painting will be done. It'll be ready to then turn into a tote bag. Not, like I said before, not the kind of tote bag I'm going to be taking around to the supermarket to get my shopping in. I'll be a bit precious about this one, I think. Okay, thank you very much for joining me today. Thank you also to my amazing channel members who will be scrolling up here as I speak. We have 50 members, founding fartists, 50 founding fartists. I appreciate every single one of you. Thank you so much for your support. If you're interested in becoming a channel member, there's a join button down here somewhere. If you click on that, it'll open up a window and tell you all about it. Right next to that is a subscribe button. You can just click that, you subscribe, done. That's completely free and it's just one click of a button, and I really appreciate that as well. Thank you also for taking the time just to watch the videos and leave comments and click the like button and all that. It just makes a world of difference and makes me a very happy bunny. So anyway, that's enough from me for today. Lots more in the pipeline, lots going on, so I will see you again very soon.